Yeah, by the end of the month, we'll be
Yeah.
counting. Yep. Then I got some that were, I had 2 cans, of slip cans earlier in the last couple months. So,
Yeah.
Yep. And then I had cows that we kept that were shortbread back when we parade them, so we're gonna parade them again. See where they're at. So, yeah. Yeah, it seems like I've been working for the last week and a half, getting things ready, so I had to fence a pond off.
Is that what they're wanting to do now?
No, that's what I'm doing, so I don't know, yeah.
Okay.
Then
I
I
didn't know.
Then I had a guy come Friday and leveled off a pad. We got a hydrant out there in the pasture, so
Mhm.
we'd never used it yet, so we put it in. The last time we thought it was gonna use it, but it rained.
You know, that pond that's right next to the highway going north, in the vicinity of the Sweet Creek.
My corner, yeah.
That thing is,
Yeah, that's a deep pond.
it's a deep pond and it doesn't have much water in it anymore.
Well, we got,
And then there's one up on the other side of the road further. It's totally dry now. It's by a little house. It's their house.
oh, that joke. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it is or anything, but
Yeah, well, that's recreation supposed to be.
this is just a little.
Yeah, just up the road from my.
Oh, no, not the swimming one, not the swimming hole.
Oh,
Not the
you know,
swimming hole.
closer to Waterville?
I think so.
On the west side, there's one there that's about the same as empty on
It's-
Steve Hurts. Yeah,
It's dry.
Yeah,
I noticed yesterday.
we've got 2 ponds and 1 pasture they're both dry. Yeah, because I started hauling water the 1st of September until November. So,
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started then. Call this meeting of the Riley County Planning Board, Board of Zoning Appeals to order. We will open for public comments. If anyone in the audience would like to comment about anything that's not on the agenda tonight, we would love to hear from you. If not, we'll move on. Oh, Bob, you're going to say.
Just adjusting.
I said, do you count? No. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. We will consider the minutes of the January 10th meeting and the report of fees from January.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So what's, when they say an environmental systems evaluation, what does that pertain to?
That's when a property is for sale, either the property owner or the purchaser can request to have this evaluation done. And Harry goes out and checks the system, and if they're on the well, he tests the well water, and then he provides a report as to whether or not it's in compliance with the sanitary code.
So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
septic system, basically.
Or a lagoon,
Or, okay, or a good.
or an alternative.
Also on the reported fees,
Yes,
my memory is failing me, has there always been a methods and a payment column in the past?
I'm sorry, which one now?
The method and payment number columns?
Method in payment.
That's on the reported fees.
Yes.
Yeah, here.
He wants to know if we've had those before.
Oh, no, we haven't. That's where my grid layout keeps changing. No, but thank you for pointing that
It
out.
just looked like something new, and I didn't know if it
Yeah.
was continuing on or whether we'll see that in the future.
I
If you
noticed
want,
it
you
because the
can,
print was
otherwise-
smaller.
I will take it off. It wasn't supposed to be on there.
All right, just a question. That's
Okay, thank you.
So, and then like the deposit date, that was never on there before either.
Right.
Any other questions? Okay.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We approve this consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 4-0. Okay, and you all notice that due to no agenda items, that next month we will not be having a meeting.
Oh, nice.
So you get to go play day. Staff can play a day, maybe, or do other work. So moving on to the general agenda for the Riley County Board of Zoning Appeals. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn as a joint board and move on to the,
I move we do so.
okay, we are reconvening as the Riley County Board of Zoning Appeals. And since we have no agenda items, I shouldn't have done that. No agenda items. Do I hear a motion that we close the Board of Zoning Appeals and open as the the Riley County Planning Board?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we reconvene as the Riley County Planning Board. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 4-0. Okay, on our general agenda for the Riley County Planning Board tonight, we have a public hearing at the request of the Gillespie Family Trust petitioners and owners to replat lots 97 through 102, Block 1, Bridgeview Heights Addition into one lot in Jackson Township, Section 23, Township 7, South Range 6 East in Riley County. Bob,
Yes.
we will turn it over to you.
Okay, good evening, folks. As mentioned, Michael and Marie Gillespie have made application with the Riley County Planning and Development Department requesting to replat lots 97 through 102, Block 1 of Bridgeview Heights subdivision to one lot. The subject site is generally located at the southeast corner of the intersection of Ridge Drive and Hillside Drive. Pretty much in the heart of Bridgeview Heights subdivision. The subject property was originally platted in July of 1964 as Bridgeview Heights and was later rezoned residential. A building permit was issued in March of 1967 for single-family residence, which was a summer cabin, to be constructed on lot 100, block 1. Lots 96 through 98 and lots 102 and 101 and 102 were never developed and remain vacant. The applicant wishes to combine the lots to increase the overall size of the property serving the home in order to be compliant with the requirements of the sanitary code. The subject site was originally zoned A2 single-family residential during the 1974 countywide zoning conversion process. It was actually the first petition of that sort. The home actually predated the zoning regulations for the county. The A2 zoning designation was renamed SF2 single-family residential as a result of the Vision 2025 zoning regulation amendments in May of 2012. The SF2 single-family residential zoning designation was renamed SF3 single-family residential as a result of the adoption of the Riley County Land Development Regulations for Riley County, Kansas, effective January 1st this year. There are no conditional uses, special uses, or variances associated with the subject property. This is kind of odd to see, but this is Bridgeview Heights, and this is the ISO rating of the site. The Riley County Fire District Number 1 will serve the site. The nearest county fire station is the Randolph Fire Station, located at 111 South Front Street in Randolph. The subject site has an ISO rating of 6, as it is located within 5 road miles of a fire station. Some of these roads throughout Bridgeview Heights will get a lesser rating of 10. It's the higher or the lower the number, the better. And the higher the number, not so good. And the reason for this is some of these streets are just not there. They've never been developed, or they're in such low grade surface, they're not going to get an ISO rating because it's just difficult to get through on the roads themselves. So that explains the half 6 and then half 10 ratings throughout here. This is the actual entrance into the subdivision, and with a turn to the west, it's literally right on the corner. You can see the house from about this point of Crestview Drive. This is the final plat. Again, this is a replat combining the lots together. And this illustrates the orientation and location of the lot's boundaries. The subject site directly abuts Ridge Drive and Hillside Drive, both gravel 2-lane local roads. Hillside Drive is maintained by the township, while Ridge Drive is maintained by the county. There is an existing entrance onto Hillside Drive. The utility easement running along the north property line of lot 99 and the south property lines of lots 98 and 97 will be vacated with this plat. The survey company that prepares the plat has contracted or contacted potential utility companies in the area, and no objections to the request have been received. The utility easement running along the east perimeter of this subject site will remain in place. And that's what you see in that dark gray. And there, the combination will be lot 1 of Bridgeview Heights, Unit 7. A few pictures of the property. This is the home the Gillespies wish to renovate. The new septic system is planned to be located north of the tree line, directly north of the home. This shows the house and how sparse the development is in the area of Bridgeview Heights. I think that's on purpose. The standing in the driveway to the home. This is the front of the home. The home was built into the side of a hill, opening up toward the east. Tremendous views of the lake. Staff recommends that the planning board approve the final plat of Bridgeview Heights Unit 7, as it has been determined to meet the minimum requirements of the land development regulations for Riley County, Kansas, and the sanitary code. If you have any questions for me, I'm glad to field. Mr. Gillespie is here in attendance
Okay.
as well.
I brought a set of architectural rendering drawings as well, if you'd like to review those to see what's gonna, the remodel's gonna take place.
Does the board have any comments or questions for Bob?
I don't.
No,
Okay, Mr. Gillespie, would you like to come up and the microphone, give us your name so we can record that and give us a few,
Sure.
like this a little?
Yeah, sure. My name's Michael Gillespie. So my wife and I purchased this old cabin. It's an old A-frame from we think it's probably stood up in the late 60s, early 70s. It is totally stripped on the inside. There's no plumbing, there's no electricity, there's no insulation. It's totally barren on the inside. And when we bought it, we were aware that there was a history of it not in compliance with the sanitary code. So we talked to Perry, had him come out and look at it. He gave us some guidance on the amount of property we needed in order to support a proper septic with the sanitary code. We're able to acquire, they call it adjoining lots from one of the neighbors, and that's what the accumulation is. So this will give us enough area around the cabin to support the sanitary code and be in compliance. And we've worked with Brenner Excavating, so they're going to do the septic system for us. And Vexpa Construction here in Manhattan. So Nick Beneke is going to be my general contractor. And then Anderson Knight has done the drawings for the remodel. So once this gets approved, we'll kick off the remodel and then go from there. If it doesn't get approved, we'll figure out what the next steps are, I guess.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you very much.
and if anybody wants to see the drawings, I've got them, or any other questions for me from the board or commission?
Does anyone have any questions?
I have
about the
one
drawings?
question
Uh-huh.
for you. You gotta cut that cedar tree down in the front yard.
So it's leaning a little towards the house.
Oh,
And I was actually out there today tagging trees. So,
I've got a story behind that house years ago when I'm on the rural fire department. We were called down there one day. Yeah, my job was, or our station was to protect that house and them cedar trees from burning up. That was a long time ago. I mean, that's been 30 years ago. Yeah, so.
but there's what's interesting, there's right to the north of that cedar tree there, right behind it there's an apple tree there. I have no idea how old that thing is, but man, it puts off the sweetest apples. So,
All right, very good. Any other questions, Mr. Gillespie? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other opponent or proponents? Any opponents? If not, we'll close the public hearing of the Gillespie petition and have the deliberation of the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we need-
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I hear a motion that we close the public hearing?
I move we close the public hearing and go into our deliberation mode.
Second? Been moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Okay, what are your thoughts, concerns?
Pretty straightforward and good housekeeping, as we've been saying for a lot of these
Yeah,
combinations. People have been adding these back together so they can make it work right for a place to
make it
live.
usable.
Yeah. So I'm good with it.
Okay.
I agree with John.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So I'll make a motion to move to approve the request to replat lots 97 through 102, block 1 of Bridgeview Heights subdivision into one lot to be known as Bridgeview Heights, unit number 7, as it has been determined and meets all the requirements of the Riley County Plan Development regulations and for everything put in the staff report.
Okay,
I'll second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 4-0.
Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna make an announcement.
Yes,
This plat goes on to the Board of County Commissioners. And the commission will hear on Thursday, February 24th at 10:30 a.m. in these chambers. And that's the next step.
So be back with.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
If you have any questions on that one.
I will let you know.
Good luck.
yes.
Thank you. But it's, I think, it'll be a great property, be back on the tax rolls.
It looks like it'd be a nice place to go get away too.
It will, yeah.
So,
And like Bob said, it's got a very good rate, so.
good, good. Well, Mr. Gillespie, you're very welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, or if you would like to leave, you may do that now also. So whatever your wishes are.
I think I'm on a roll. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, okay, moving on to a public hearing request at the request of Scott or Kyle Spurlock, petitioner, and Deborah DeFew and Larry Tuttle, owners, to replat lots 16 through 19 of Blue River Hills, 3rd edition, into one lot in the Sherman Township, section 19 south 8, section 19, township 8, south, range 7 east in Raleigh County. Bob?
Very similar to our last one here.
That's okay.
Good evening again. Kyle Spurlock has made application with Raleigh County Planning and Development requesting to replat lots 16 through 19 of Blue River Hills 3rd edition into one lot. The subject site is generally located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Blue Ridge Road and Summit Drive. A little closer in. The subject property was platted as lot 16 through 19 of Blue River Hills 3rd edition in August of 1997. So it's relatively new. Both Blue River Hills 2nd edition and Blue River Hills 3rd edition were actually additions to the original Blue River Hills #1 and not a result of replatting that you'll see here quite often. The applicant wishes to eventually build a house on the subject property, but must combine lots to meet the size requirements of the sanitary code. There's no requirement to rezone the property as a part of this request. Speaking of zoning, the site was originally zoned A1 single family residential during the 1974 countywide zoning conversion process petition number 4. The A1 zoning designation was renamed SF1, single-family residential as a result of the Vision 2025 zoning regulation amendments in May of 2012. The SF1 single-family residential zoning designation was renamed SF2, single-family residential as a result of the adoption of the land development regulations for Riley County, Kansas, effective January 1st of this year. There are no conditional uses, special uses, or variances associated with the subject property. The Riley County Fire District number 1 will serve the site. The nearest county fire station is the Blue Hills Fire Station, which is station number 11 located at 6100 Bob White Lane, just literally right down the street. The subject site is located within 5 road miles of the fire station. Okay, so here's the final plat illustrating the orientation and location of the lot's boundaries. The subject site directly abuts Summit Drive and Blue Ridge Road, both gravel 2-lane local roads. Summit Drive is maintained by the township, while Blue Ridge Road is maintained by the county. The applicant plans to access Summit Drive as shown. An entrance permit will be required and the driveway will be subject to the driveway standards in the unincorporated area of Riley County, Kansas. The driveway will need to be inspected by the county engineer before a certificate of occupancy can be issued for the home. The utility easement running between lots 17 and 18 will be vacated with this plat. The survey company that prepared the plat has contacted the potential utility companies in the area and no objections to the request have been received. The 8-foot utility easement running along the north perimeter of this subject site will remain. And see if I got this one right. Okay, close. A few pics of the property. This is standing on the right of way of Summit Drive, looking east at the pretty much the southwest corner of the property. Topographically, the proposed lot slopes from south to north. In the picture from right to left. At this time, the proposed lot is lined with a mix of different types of mature trees along the south and east boundaries, with a bit of a ridge toward the central north central portion of the property. The good news is there's plenty of buildable area. The environmental health specialist completed a soil profile test of the property and found a suitable location for an in-ground system, although a rural water main is located in the south right-of-way of Summit Drive. The applicant wants to attempt to install an on-site water well to serve the property. If the well doesn't work out, then use the connection to rural water as a second choice. The particulars regarding the wastewater disposal system, the applicant will need to truck in some soil and set up a bed for a raised bed alternative system. So, one final pick at the property. This is looking north near the west central portion of the proposed lot. And by the way, this is the lake in the back. I think the applicant is wanting to clear out all these trees, so I'll have a clear view of the lake. Is that right?
Trees are clear.
Okay. Staff recommends that the planning board approve the final plat of the Blue River Hills Unit 6, as it has been determined to meet the minimum requirements of the land development regulations for Riley County, Kansas, and the sanitary code. That's all I have. It's fairly straightforward. If you have any questions for me, I have those for you.
John?
So there's a house to the north of where he's gonna build, or to the west? Or
To the west, it looks like.
To the west?
There's a house sitting here.
Yeah, there's okay.
No house here, no house here.
So where's the lake at?
Right, well, right here.
Right there.
Right there, okay, okay.
But there's a cove over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lake is off to the east, and then there's a cove to the north.
Okay,
And yes, there is a house currently to the west.
okay, any other questions for Bob? Whoa.
We're doing that.
I was gonna say, blindness there. So, all right, Mr. Spurlock, would you like to say anything? If you'd like to come up to the microphone, please.
Hello, my name is Kyle Spurlock. I'm standing in for Deborah Depew Tuttle and Larry Tuttle, my father and mother-in-law. I will be purchasing this property from them. I need to get the zone complete. As you can see, it is a fresh slate. There's nothing there. I have been in works with Prairie Piper for the alternative septic system, which I will have Jacob Brenner with Brenner Excavation come in and do my alternative system. We are well aware that we have only 15 inches of good soil and it is required for 18 inches. I work with MCM, so we have our own soil from our crop plant that I will be bringing in. In the addition of the 3 inches required to raise, we're going to go ahead and raise 8 inches to be on the safe side.
Does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Spurlock?
Looks like a project.
Yeah.
This project.
You said you got your trees cleared already?
Oh, yeah.
Very good. We like to see those cedars go.
Determination. I don't have anything else.
I got no questions.
Okay, very good then. Thank you very much. So, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing? Oh, are there any other proponents? Or any opponents? Hearing none, do I hear a motion that we close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay,
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried 4-0. So deliberation.
Pretty clear to me.
Very simple.
Very easy decision to make.
So, well, what are the wishes of the board then?
I'll move to approve the request to replat lots 16 and 19 in Blue River Hills, third edition into one lot known as Lot 1 Blue River Hills, Unit 6, as it has been determined and meets the requirements of the Raleigh County Land Development Regulations.
Okay, there's a second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we, to approve the request to replat lots 16 through 19 of Blue River Hills, third edition into one lot and to be known as Lot 1 of Blue River Hills, Unit 6. As it's been determined by it meets all the requirements of the Raleigh County Land Development Regulations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 4-0.
Good luck.
So,
When you get the house moved, join the fire department.
Actually, I have been in contact with the person that actually lives next door. Apparently he is the chairman for the living area.
Okay.
And he actually asked me if I was interested in volunteering because, well, most of the people out there are, I do apologize.
older.
Older and I don't in retirement. So
Yes.
they need some young blood to help run the
We do.
fire department, and I graciously accept it. So,
Oh, good.
Good.
Good. Yeah, my friend Aaron Weller, he's the chief up there, so he'll be glad to hear that. So.
I'm
all right.
surprised that there's not more of those lots developed. Unless they're all so small that they're gonna have to be
Yes.
combined again.
That's it.
Sheesh.
And the price of gas went up.
Yeah,
But really, it's about the sanitary code
okay.
primarily.
Because we've done some of those, the topography's been pretty steep
Yeah.
Oh,
next to the lake, the ones we've
Yeah.
done over the last few years along the lake up
I
there.
mean, there was no flat spot
Right,
basically.
Right, yeah, so.
Exactly. It is surprising how it didn't seem that there was much regard to topography taken into account when they platted out there in many of the areas. It's just,
It's too bad.
but yeah, if you're planning on building a cabin on stilts, I recommend it.
Like the last one. I mean, it was basically on stilts.
There's a few out there like that. It's kind of scary. Okay.
All right,
let me
very good
Go
then.
ahead and make announcement for this one.
Okay,
The actual Board of County Commission will hear this request, the plat portion, on Thursday, February 24th at 10:30 in these chambers. I had readings from the wrong folder earlier.
I was gonna
I'm
say,
gonna get to that.
okay,
So you're the last hearing we just had, for the Bridgeview Heights, Unit 7, that will go before the Board of County Commission, same day and time, or not time, 10:20.
10:20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Got my folders mixed up.
Bob, they're just gonna get you at the microphone and you just keep going. So, okay, the
Good
next,
luck.
thank you, Mr. Spurlock, and good luck with it. And
Thank you.
we're here to serve you if you need us again.
Thank you again.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the annual comprehensive plan review.
It's colored paper. That adds to my years of colored paper.
There you go. And I like our clerical assistant does different colors.
Well, yeah. We got the
Yeah.
Easter colors
I
there.
was
That's Easter.
boring and did all the same color.
Okay, Bob,
Yes.
You want someone to talk to this one? This is the annual comprehensive plan review.
yes.
Okay, so for those who don't know, I'm gonna do this. For those of you who don't know on the board, as a board, every year, the Raleigh County Planning Board is tasked statutorily of reviewing doing a formal review of the comprehensive plan and forwarding their findings of review to the Board of County Commissioners. So in your packet, we included a copy of the executive summary of the plan. And typically, we go off of this. But we also, I'm not sure, does everyone here have a copy of the comprehensive plan? Okay, we want to take a look at that and see if there's, go through that carefully. Again, typically, it's a quick review. And it doesn't seem that long ago that we've just done one because it was done later in the year. What I actually try to do is pull that review closer to the beginning of the year. But with that, we're also looking at bringing forward to this board a more in-depth review for the board from staff of the plan itself. Go through the goals, objectives, maybe a quick analysis of what we feel can be, fortified.
Okay.
Things that maybe can be modified, and to go through the talk of the actual update. As maybe it's going to make this clear. Plans have supposedly a 20-year horizon, a lifespan, if you will. And at about the 10-year mark, that's when the comprehensive plan is starting to get looked at as to being updated because of development. That really depends too on where you're at. If you are in a high development area and lots of changes are happening, that's when you want to do your updates a little sooner. Because then, again, sometimes development doesn't go as planned. And so you modify your plan to see, based on today's world, what's happening rather than what was 10, 15 years ago. And so with that, we're going to come back, I believe in May, with more of a presentation and see where we're going to start. So, I think we're gonna hold off until after that, to go, because we, again, we wanna offer you, more of an in-depth review of it from staff, so, and then get your feedback. But meanwhile, give you enough time between now and then to go through the executive summary and the plan itself. See if there's anything in it that you feel is working well, and or where you feel that it could be changed or added to the plan. And then obviously based on the development that's been occurring since the time this was adopted, and see how, if you feel that the plan has been effective, is functioning properly in your regard or in your perspective, that kind of thing. So we're going to go from that perspective. So this is going to be a year we're going to truly analyze it and get into the weeds with it, and go from there. Because I think this year we're going to need to make a recommendation to the Board of County Commission, not just a cursory review. It's going to be a little bit more in depth, and kick that off.
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say that when we did this the last time, it took 8-9 years for it to come to the final, final part of it
Yeah.
and stuff. So, because it was so different of anything that I think had been done before that it
Especially
did just
in
take a
Raleigh County.
while.
It was grassroots.
Yeah.
Though there was no consultant. There were facilitators. They were hired from K-State to run the meetings. It was done by committee, and there was a lot of new things that were added to this that took time to build, like the LISA.
Yeah.
So again, hopefully we can take a look at this and find what's working well, and hold on to that maybe. Find what's not working so well, and then add to that and introduce some new aspects to the plan. Again, see where we can go with it. Hopefully, correct me if I'm wrong. We may be able to get a consultant, at least part-time, partially, not maybe 100% consultant done, but to work with us to get the update, in place. And maybe it won't take 3 straight years to do.
Well, I mean, kudos to staff for the last one. I was on the last Vision 2025 board, or task force when it was done. And it took a lot of meetings. I mean, it was 2-3 years of just meetings of the committee and stuff. But I am so proud of that LISA system, and staff is really the ones that did that and stuff, came up with it and everything. And I mean, I just think it works really
I
well.
like it. I like
Yeah.
the LISA program, or the
It just, it works really well.
We did a lot of testing on it, and even then, you feel like you have to test something for its reliability a lot. And it takes time to do one of those. We found a way to make it, to streamline it. There's still aspects of that are kind of time consuming. And there's gotta be ways, we gotta figure out ways to get some, other departments review on it quicker. But other than that, we found that over the years, it's been very reliable. And it's also been fairly accurate. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, you're making up points and this and that. How can you, not be so arbitrary or do something that you want to be objective, but it's the points and stuff are a bit arbitrary, but it's kind of worked out. So through the test, through real life application, we found that it's quite powerful. And again, one thing I do appreciate about that is one of the decision-making tools for the boards. It's not the end-all be-all.
Right.
And there's some jurisdictions that say, okay, if you can't get past this point, sorry, Charlie. I mean, this is the way it is. And there's no talk. There are no negotiations whatsoever.
But as a board member too, and I mean, I lean towards preserving agricultural land and stuff. It's a good thing for me to fall back on that says, see, this is what this says too.
Yeah.
It adds strength to those arguments too at times.
Yeah. It's a good collection of what I think over time Riley County has put together is what they feel is important. You know, what they feel are the issues, the conflicts, and whether that be CAFOs, Fort Riley, floodplain, that kind of thing, where it directs obviously the agricultural areas, but it directs a development away from those problem areas to reduce the urban-rural conflicts.
Conflict.
So, yeah,
That's
I appreciate that, but we're gonna see what we can do to, obviously, the things like the dates and, the times, amounts, that bring that all up to date. There's some other aspects I think that Amanda was going to want to suggest to introduce to the plan.
Okay, great. We'll look forward to seeing that then.
So, going on to the next one.
Yes, the
All right.
next thing is the Riley County Land Development Regulations discussion.
Yeah, and this is gonna be one of my biggest bummers of the new year. When you discover there's issues with something that was just adopted. And so, yeah, I'll be honest with you, there are issues. There were issues in the formatting and things like that. We thought we had taken care of that. For some reason, after the first or the final cut, the final revisions, if you will, there are still issues. And so there's quite a bit I can take care of as far as administratively, typos and stuff like that. There's like, if you look at our glossary, the R's are out of order. I'm like, I'm not sure how that happened. There's some things you don't have to worry about because something happened. Maybe it was a placement of a picture that it juggled stuff out of order. So I'm gonna have to get that taken care of. But there are a few things that we discovered that need to be changed. And looking at this again, this is for discussion this evening. And we are going to take this discussion, these amendments to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board next Monday. And then to, I believe, the Board of County Commission on the 24th for discussion. And I would like to go through these with you. One of the things I think we added in and didn't get added is the actual title of the document. And let me do this. I can. Can we bring this up? Are we on the White Drive?
It's already pulled up, Bob, this.
Oh. No, not that, the actual document. So let's do this.
Is it in the old stuff on the W drive?
No, I'm gonna do this.
I'll go to the website.
Yep.
And just zoom through there.
And notice this, our little pop-up menus don't work. There's that. You actually have to click on them. Okay, so, and that's what happens. Okay, so let me bring this up real quick. See, there's the front cover. It just says Land Development Regulations with the blue tube. Riley County. We go to the first one. I'm going to bring this up so you can see it. So the actual title of the document shall be officially known and cited as the Land Development Regulations for Riley County, Kansas. Sound familiar? It's like Vision 2025, a comprehensive plan for Riley County, Kansas. It's too big to fit on the marquee. It's too big. One. Two, it's referred to, again, that looks small. Bring that up some. There. I'll be looking at this so you can see what I'm talking about. I wanted to bring this up and share this, what I'm talking about. Probably be the easiest way rather than a slideshow and all this fancy stuff. At least not until, the public hearing side of things. But going to this, for convenience, it may be referred to as LDRs and these regulations. And that convenience is built into the document. So there's referral to these regulations. You'll see that quite a bit. Problem with this is in two other places, it goes off of Riley County land development regulations. This evening, John himself just said Riley County land development regulations. Usually a document like that is prefaced by the location, the Manhattan Development Ordinance, the Manhattan Development Code. That's your jurisdiction, that's your place. And then whatever it is, it used to be Riley County subdivision regulations, Riley County zoning regulations, Riley County land development regulations, as it should be. And it's already cited that way to other places in this document. So my proposal is to change the official name here to Riley County land development regulations rather than for Riley County, Kansas and all that. We know where we are. You know, so that's if anyone has any objection to that, that's the first one on the list.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anything wrong with this.
Whatever you think cleans it up the best.
It's
You know
easier to
better than
see,
we are.
either or easier to say. People call it that.
Mhm.
Might as well just name it what is most people refer to it. And again, with three different names on it, one different on the cover, this one, and the way it's cited two other places in the document, we were struggling as to, okay, what's the name of this for sure? What's our official name? So we decided we wanted to make that clear and make that amendment, okay? Okay, the other one, and let's see if I can get this real quick. Let's see. These little navigation buttons are quite handy, by the way. This one will take you to the definitions. This will take you up to the next article. This will actually take you back to the previous view. I haven't been able to get that one to work so well. But now that I have InDesign, I'll be able to mess with it and make it better. So the other thing we ran into, I'm going to get to the single family residential district. 4.8. Okay, and these tables. Okay, this one we're fine with. Well, I believe, well, partially. The one that caught us is this. SF2 and SF3, the tables are similar. And this is the issue here.
I thought we changed that.
We changed it in the SF1 to 15. It wasn't 15 on all of the single family residential districts. It was just.
I thought it had something to do with the height of the building. Because this was all the discussion of the thing out at Zingdale.
Well, right. But here, let me show you. This is the zoning right here of the one you're talking about. And what was decided is to increase it from 10 feet to 15 feet. And that's what the board agreed on. And that's how it was adopted. I'm getting to that. So the other thing was, this is two things going on at the same time because they're in the table. Is the setback increases 1 foot for every 1 foot of building height over 16 feet. Okay, and I'm not absolutely sure where that came from. I'm pretty sure it was in some of the things that we were looking at. We thought that would be a good idea. But I want to hold off on the discussion on these notes right here and focus on this. What we had for years is 10% of the lot width, but not to exceed 10 feet as your side yard setback. These are in the smaller lot subdivisions. If you, and we thought, okay, that will work. It will accommodate the lots are not so wide. Okay, we
Right.
thought in some cases, like in Nelson's Landing, for example, where the lot's 75 feet wide. And there's a lot of houses there. That's developed, it's right up next to the city. Problem is that the 10% of lot width gives you 7.5. If we just went a static 10 feet, then those lots would never get developed, or there'd be variances, lots of variances because of that. So again, there was a reason for this one. There was also a reason to cap it off at 10. And that somehow got eliminated. I'm not sure if it was, we decided not to have that, or it on the transfer from Word to InDesign, it accidentally got omitted because we go back into our old documents that we have when preparing this. It was there. And so, and here's what we found out. There's a gentleman wants to or needs a variance for his front deck. Well, he's planning on building on a sunroom to the side of his house. Well, I'm like, there is, he owns both the lots there. And I thought, well, how close are you to that lot line? You might need a variance for that too. So I think, well, what's the side yard setback? And then I came in here and seen this. He's on a long and narrow lot that resembles this house right here. Oh, well, close to here. Problem is, this is the width. This is the depth. This is the width.
Ouch.
So what it doesn't account for is those long, wide lots that have lots of frontage on that road. So it happens to be 182 feet from this point to this point. So his side yard setback is just almost as large as the front yard. We're talking almost 20 feet per side. So it forces, without regard to topography, that the house has to be built somewhere in the middle or get a variance. We don't want that.
Well, but it says 10 feet,
No, it says 10% of
10%.
lot width.
and that's all that says that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
Okay.
proposal is, if you take a look at this,
because I was looking at these where it said,
yeah, what this is right here is a draft notice of public hearing. This is what will go to the paper. And these are some of the proposals. Again, this is not the most up-to-date copy here. Okay, again, this is for discussion anyhow. When we go to the public hearing, we'll get a fresh copy of what we decided to go forward with, okay?
Okay.
So with that, you'll see the addition of that not to exceed 10 feet, I believe. Yeah, but not to exceed 10 feet. And that will apply to this one, SF2 and SF3 have the same issue. There it is. And again, SF1 is a large lot, single family residential. That's the one you can have horses and all that. SF2 and 3 get progressively smaller. It's opposite of what we are.
You'd think
okay, but then you come to the thing out at Zedale.
That
That's
is SF1.
what I was gonna say, that's a large lot.
And we're not messing with that. It's not being proposed to mess with it. This is that. It's 15 feet. It's not a percentage of it. It's just flat out 15
15
feet.
feet.
Okay,
But the setback increases 1
yeah, I
foot.
want to talk about that
Oh,
next.
okay. I was gonna say, is that on there or is that not on there?
Okay. So I want to go back to if the board feels comfortable moving forward with the adding the not to exceed 10 feet for those 2 residential districts. Okay, so
I was gonna say, is the board comfortable with it? Do you want a motion, a vote on it or?
We're not to that point.
Well, no, just so that he has some record that we agreed that it was okay.
well, I
You
don't know
want
if we need a
something?
motion because we're just in discussion.
Okay, so
But yeah, just make it clear. You can say that, yeah.
the majority of the board, I
There
mean,
was
the
a
board,
consensus that the board.
right,
thought
the board does think it's a good idea. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, there's a consensus.
Okay. Yeah, let's see, okay. September, okay. Okay. So, under the same residential districts, and I think also in 4, yes, this one. That note we're talking about, we got to getting a little bit clearer as to what's going on there. And if you take a look at that height over 16 feet, we did a quick reference in order to get that with 16 feet. what's the average height of a single family home? And that popped up, and that's where it went. But what we didn't know is how they were coming up with that number. If you look at the reality of a single family house, a single story house with pitched roof is 20 feet and greater for a single story house.
To the
This would
point-
quite frankly preclude anyone from building a two-story house, which is preposterous. The other thing too, if you take a look at how they're measuring. So you got the roof line here, if you will. They're going here for your measurement, not 16 feet here. This is your average. So there's a few other things. If it was built onto a hill, and there's the front elevation, and it drops a walkout basement and all that, and how that is measured, how that is averaged as far as height. And it goes back to, it'll give you some number like this, but we're talking about increasing the side yard setback based on a hard, fast number of the total height of the building. And that is ridiculously low. And so we thought, well, let's look at this. We did some research. I have a few other things we can bring to the public hearing side of things, so you can see what I'm talking about as far as my research on it. But we also decided to have that discussion with our planning consultant, Elizabeth Gardner. And she noticed that too, and she goes, I don't know why you have it in there, because you guys, and we were thinking maybe we need to change the number, go up with it. And she says, you have a maximum height for each district. And that is reasonable when it comes to single family residential. This right here, this little note, or this caveat, the condition, we'll do this. We'll create this, bringing in the setback for the house. So in reality, where the house should probably go, and usually it's based on the sanitary sewer, then you're going to create a situation where it doesn't work out in real world, in real life. You're not taking the topography into account. You're not taking into the location of where the wastewater system should go and where the house should go relative to that system.
Just the setbacks.
Yeah, and we can't justify that. And so we didn't realize that was going to be an issue. And the fact that people want to build a two-story house, like you see on the west side of Manhattan, we're going to penalize them. But the lots aren't big enough, or it's going to create problems. And what's our justification? And staff feels that we agree with the consultant that we're not in a city where there's an issue with light, air, and all this other things. Development's too close, quite frankly. We're not. So why would we want to squash development in areas where we're wanting development to go? The platted lots already zoned residential along the lake and other places. Why would we want to stop that from happening by making it impossible to do? We don't want development, or I should say, non-agricultural residential development out in the agricultural areas. We want those in the designated growth areas.
Right.
And those designated growth areas call for higher density, closer together. And so we can keep the people that are not farmers, not farming, not ranching. You can keep that development along the lake, that kind of thing, and do what this gentleman did earlier, just bring lots together and make it work. This is, quite frankly, why have this if you have this? It's duplication. It's my opinion, it penalizes the property owner, and it will. It's not good for development or redevelopment. So my recommendation is with our planning consultant is just remove it, because it does no good. That's all I have for that one.
What, do you want a opinion from the board or
Yeah, this is a
comments?
I think I'd remove it. The only time I've ever seen the setback increases is in a lot of commercial, like real tall buildings, they'll add extra side setbacks on them. but I haven't ever seen that in residential,
Right.
so it's kind of,
Yeah.
and nobody's gonna build that house anyway, so 16-foot house.
I'm good with it. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have no problem with it when it comes to the more dense dense building and stuff, as in residential and stuff. It's just that I know out there in the open, in the rural area and stuff, we've had this one that this has happened, and basically, if I lived in the house next to it, and they have a light on the side and stuff that's on all the time and stuff. I mean, this is the worst scenario. And I feel that we have really devalued the property of the person that originally lived there with what happened in this case. I mean, we didn't know that they were gonna put this light there and what they were building necessarily and stuff, but I just hated to see it happen again.
Yeah, that's the only one that we know of.
Yeah.
You know, all the large lot, single family residential zoning that we have. Whether that be that or lots of record, people aren't building right up on the property.
Hopefully they don't do
But
it.
again, going off this, we decided with the 15 feet as the side yard
Right.
setback. That's what we should go with. And the same with the maximum height. And so it doesn't create that problem. Here's something else you gotta know about that though. Agricultural use buildings are, or livestock enclosure type buildings, farms. They are allowed in this residential zoning district. That's an accessory structure. That's not actually counted as part of the accessory structure calculations. So it can be quite big. And so, the accessory structure setbacks 5 feet. If they're housing livestock, it's a transitionary zone.
Mhm.
And so, again, we feel that it's more restrictive than it used to be. And that was by discussion with this board onto the county commissioners. That amendment took place already. This setback, right here, this note, that
16.
complicates development.
And I understand that. So basically what you're wanting to do is just take that completely out.
Of the, and we have that same thing in, and it's not showing here, I apologize for that. But for each of the single family residential districts and the 2-family residential, but we want to leave it in for multifamily, because multifamily could be 3-4 stories, 3 to 4 story building. Will we see any of that in Riley County? Doubtful. You'll see that in the city.
So leave it in for
We're
SF3,
leaving it in multifamily,
multifamily.
the multifamily district. That's the proposal, that's the suggestion. So we take that note out of at SF 1, 2, and 3. You'll see it here on 4. Then, and 2-family residential, you'll see it on this table right here. We want to take that out. But because of these types of buildings here, that could create a light shade problem and be a little close to your neighbor, we decided that maybe we could just leave that in. Now the question is this: most multi-family buildings are can obviously be better or taller than 16 feet.
Mhm.
So we're gonna maybe look into that and see, if there's a recommendation to, increase that to an average height of an apartment building. We know that this is outrageous. There's no such thing. And by the way, that 16 foot, that includes the base foundation, 1 floor, and a flat roof. Do a pitch roof, you can get anywhere between 20 and 23 feet on a single story house. It's 16 feet sounds like it's really tall. What if it's a house? It's not. So that's what I have for that. If you guys are game for that. Any more discussion on this?
Anyone have anything?
Okay, next up is a bit of a whopper. I know you guys were planning on getting out of here when watching reruns of the Super Bowl. I have some ideas.
No, Bob, we want to see the end of the K-State game.
Yeah.
I'll
Too
take it.
late, it's over with.
Oh,
Don't tell me, I haven't been keeping track.
that doesn't look like
Might go
it's
back
too
and
bad.
watch it.
Okay, so let me think where this is. I think it's in
5.2.
That's a 5. And, where was that? Oh, yes, and use specific standards, that's right. Okay, just gotta get down to the S's. This topic, I think is probably the most important of all of them. I mean, there's some ridiculous things going on. And again, I'm gonna work on polishing these things, and hopefully by July, we're gonna have a pretty good document to work with. Let's see.
A, B, like,
Until then, we got some other stuff we gotta take care of. Okay, one of the things that I think there was maybe
Whoa.
a misunderstanding on. I'm there.
there we go.
There's a misunderstanding on is short-term rentals. And if you guys are familiar with a short-term rental, it's an Airbnb, Vrbo, that type of thing. For years before we were pressured, in other words, to put together something, we were looking at these as really no different than if someone were to do it as a private thing between the landlord and the tenant to decide how they wanted to rent out their house. There are certain ones that are like a bed and breakfast where there's owner occupied and a lot of them aren't. But it's like, well, you're a college student can rent a house or apartment for a year. That's your typical lease, or 6 months by a semester type of thing. And then, mine years ago went from that year lease to a month lease. They don't like to do that. That's a bad business decision, but that's not a zoning issue. We're not going to go tell them how to run a business as far as that goes. But it started kind of getting out of hand and got quite popular. And so we had to look at other jurisdictions to see how they were handling the short-term rental phenomena. I'm trying to get this a little larger here. Everyone see that okay? Okay. So one of the things that I wish I could just bounce back and forth here, but this is where we're at right here, the short-term rental licensing and the general requirements. And licensing requirements. Letter A in particular, it shall be unlawful for any person to operate and or advertise and so on and so on. The issue is it's conflicting with the transitional provisions found in Article 1. Article 1 is grandfathering any structures and uses that were going on prior to the adoption of these regulations. So what we're saying here, it says, well, no, you have a license. And what's wrong with that? Well, the licensing requirements are here, these standards. And there's quite a few of them that, quite frankly, would not be able to meet all of the requirements on this list. I'm going to step back a bit, though, and let you know that we were under the impression, I think, this is how I think we're viewing this, that even though that there were issues out there, we were going to get something built, put into place, and then maybe not handle that one issue specifically, but stop the issues from happening in other places. In other words, like agritourism facilities, those that were in operation prior to our standards that we put in place, okay, they're grandfathered in. And so it's kind of a hands-off approach and something. Anything new coming along, they're subject to the new standards, that's it. So we thought that was gonna be the case. Well, I think that the Board of County Commissioners and a few other people that were involved were under the impression that this would be not like that. There would be no grandfathering in with the licensing requirements. So what we have a gentleman out, where's that, Deer Run? It has a, lack for a better word, party house right next to him. And there's all kinds of issues there because of how the street's laid out, how his property's laid out, and it's right next to it. And it's not one of those Airbnbs that necessarily have folks come over, stay there for the weekend. You hardly know that they're there. They're just there to enjoy the front porch, sit and view the lake. No, there's activities, there's parties, there's events, and there's things that are happening that he feels violates his quality of life. Anytime that happens and nothing's being done. So the expectation was to have put something in place to stop it. And so I think that's what the general consensus was, and the belief that it would be taken care of with the new regulations. But as we pointed out to legal, that there's a conflict here. We gotta decide which direction we want to go with this. Here's what's at issue. Of all the Airbnbs that are out there, and there are quite a few in Riley County, I'm gonna have to come up with an actual number, or at least ballpark number, and a map as to where they are. You have a clear indication of what's going on. There's one that we've received any kind of complaints on. That's that gentleman on Deer Run. What the proposal is here, and you'll have to look at page 2 here. The way it reads in the transitional provisions, and I want to get this up here so you can see what I'm talking about. It's hard to see at this point. So I think let's go up here, right? Here. Okay, take a look at B.
Can you make it a
Make
little
that
bigger,
bigger.
please?
See if I can get that big as we can. Except as specifically provided in these regulations. If any use, building, structure, lot, or parcel that illegally existed on the effective date of these regulations does not meet all standards set forth in these regulations, such use, building, structure, or lot, or parcel shall be considered a legal nonconformity and shall be controlled by the section 5.6 nonconformities. So that is for everything. And what this is saying right now, it's subject to this. So all Airbnbs, short-term rentals, are now grandfathered in. Well, that's not what they wanted. They wanted immediate, application.
Yeah,
From what we can tell. Now, here's the deal. If you take a look on your notice of public hearing, draft notice of public hearing, that the suggestion is to add language as of the effective date of these regulations. As you know, if you remember, they were adopted in December, but they didn't go into effect until January 1st. So we're going to back it up to as the effective date of these regulations, as amended. Let's say this goes to public hearing and it gets it changed. That will be the date that's inserted there. So from that point on, you can see here where it says except as specifically provided in these regulations, that term out right there, that's what the insertion here is justified. That makes sense. So we're saying this is an exception. It is specifically provided in the regulations, but we put that additional language in it. So what that will do is that will make every single Airbnb that's already out there immediately upon the effective amendment date of the regulations, subject to the licensing requirements.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's an all or nothing thing. We can't just simply go, okay, well, if they can't meet a few of these or one or two of the rate or the standards, we're gonna go ahead and license them anyway. What's the point at that point? Then we're picking and choosing what things they can and cannot do, or we're gonna be allowing them to do that, dictate that. And so it's either they are grandfathered or they're not. The problem is if they are grandfathered in, there's quite a few of them out there that could pose problems and they're not subject to licensing. Okay, one in particular that we know, right? But if we decide that we, as in the boards and county commission, decide to change that and add that language in, then several of them or all of them are going to be subject to those licensing requirements and not be able to meet those
Well,
flat
and
out.
your license, I mean, are you thinking a large sum amount for the
No, it's
the
not
license
about
fee?
money. It's
Right.
not about.
It's just having a list of who is out there, right?
No, it's other things like parking requirements, each bedroom, or each room to be used.
Okay.
That's another addition to this, by the way.
Yeah,
They have to meet this standard. And you know, there's a lot of old homes out there at the lake. They have those little windows at the top. for
like
sun.
everybody does.
Yeah. And
basement.
maybe they were using that, and that's the only bedrooms they've been using for decades. Now that they want to do this, they've been renting it for decades too, but now that they're wanting to do this as such, now they're gonna be held to a standard they may or may not be able to meet. And that could literally put several of them out of business.
I don't know if there's anything in the city ordinances or not, but I know that there are several fraternities anymore that have a party house, that some of their actives live in the party house, but it's every week they have parties at this house. And I don't know if the city has any regulations regarding those kinds of things. I mean, it might give us some insight as to something like with these and
There
stuff.
used to be some deterrent as far as noise ordinance. It used to be 11 o'clock. And if people were finding out that if they were to go and pay for a noise permit in the city, they felt that gave them the authority to go a little bit later than 11 o'clock with a certain decibel, whatever. And all that did was alert the cops that there was gonna be a party and where it was gonna be held.
Yeah.
And no, they would shut it down at 11 o'clock anyway.
Oh,
And that was like, so, no, that was, I think, one of the few deterrents as far as that goes. And it's not, again, it's not so much directed at that necessarily.
well, no, I know it's not as shutting people down and stuff, but yet
If
you need to
take a
keep
look at
people
the-
safe and,
If you take a look at the standards, they're really geared to the health and safety of the people. Where smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detector, fire extinguishers, right amount of parking, off-street parking, overflow parking on the street, obviously. Other things to keep in, stay in your own yard and all that other stuff. It has to be free of debris and all this. Just and of course, the bedroom standard. And I wanted to also bring your attention to, this is not in there, and that's the standard to add to that same list as far as if a room is going to be, right now, if a room is to be used as a bedroom, all it says is it has to have a window. I think that's just for late. But no, the sanitary code is a little bit more specific to be counted as a bedroom, and it's coming from a different perspective. So we're looking at a room and determining whether it's a bedroom or not makes a difference on the calculations of the size of wastewater system. So is it a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom? Okay, what's a bedroom? This is what a bedroom is. And it defines it as 2 points of ingress, egress, entry and exit. And one of the it can count as a point of ingress, egress, but it has to be of a certain size above ground and a certain size below ground. And that's what you see here. And we wanted to be consistent with that. So it's a little bit more restrictive than what was adopted. But it is consistent with the sanitary code.
Those size windows come from the sanitary code?
Yeah.
Really?
What
Okay.
you see here, and again, you can see where it says here on this, on number 4. Room shall not be used as a bedroom unless it has a window. Scratch the window and then insert at least 2 points of ingress egress may include a window. You could have 2 doors. That counts. No windows, but 2 doors. You can use that, again, safety. For a window to be included as a point of ingress egress, the window shall be 24 by 36 or larger for rooms above ground and shall be 36 by 36 or larger for rooms below ground, basement, subterranean, go on a hillside, that kind of thing.
So is that the side of the window? Because the building, like the International Residential Code, talks about the opening. So if it's a casement window, you measure the opening, or a double hung window, it's the opening of it.
Yeah, and I think that's it.
Or is this just the window? That's the way it's written. Okay.
Just the window.
So it may or may not meet the other.
Yeah, we could always look into that. And it take away from the consistency, but.
That's, I was just curious where it came from, because I hadn't ever seen it where they just said window size. Because the sanitary, yeah.
Yeah, and again, they're using it for a different purpose. So what we're looking at this is if someone wants to use, let's say an office, interior bedroom, a lot of apartments have those, and those cannot be counted as a bedroom. You can't advertise it as a bedroom, like a 2-bedroom, they can, because there's no window. And there's no ingress egress. But I guess, I see your point.
Yeah,
and,
like I looked it up, so like the residential code that I'm familiar with, like we use the IRC, it's like 5.7 square foot for anything that's not at grade or below. And it actually goes down to 5.0 if it's at grade or below. So it actually gets smaller and yours gets bigger. That's why I was like, wait a minute, that's the opposite of what I remembered, so I had to look it up. But
Yeah.
it's for a fireman to get in to save you is what they've measured the average fireman with a Scott ear pack on and how big he is to get in there.
That's a
is
big
where
window.
it's just the opening. Well, a 5 point, yours, if the window was like a casement window or slider, would be 6 square foot or 9 square feet. So yours would actually be bigger if they actually opened the whole way.
Yeah, and that's probably not the case.
Yeah, so I don't know.
There's just, this is just for it's 2 foot by 3 foot
Yeah,
window, so that's a standard, well, these aren't,
yeah,
in a typical amount, and that, you're right, that's not the opening,
it's
they
the.
can be made to be open, throw a brick right.
Yeah, I was gonna say. The firemen probably break the window before they try to.
So-
Oh, yeah,
But
they
anyway,
definitely break it. Yeah,
There's a couple things there to consider is if we put that effective date in there, that creates the exception to the grandfathering. Then as of the date of the amendments, then all the Airbnbs, new and old, will be subject to these licensing requirements. They have to get a license, they have to meet these standards. If they cannot get a license, they have to cease their business. They may have been, running for, I don't know, a couple of years.
I think it's a good idea.
How will they be notified that they have to do this? Because somebody can just put their house out there, can't they?
What's that?
There's not an
Right, right.
application process or anything you have to go through. You
For
just,
the license or?
no.
On Airbnb.
For an Airbnb,
Airbnb,
she's
No,
talking
or-
about.
for whatever, wherever you rent it out,
Yeah,
and whatever it be.
it's just like anything else. If you decide to do something with your barn as an agritourism facility, you start it up and we find out about it. We go on the popular advertising websites for those and we find it. Then we notify them, let them know that they need
That's
to
the
do
way you have
something.
to.
Nice.
And,
I stayed at a place in Chicago that was a basement, had a door. It didn't have the windows the right size, but I forgot to get out the door. Anyway, stayed there several times and the city went through a licensing project and they actually gave them, I think, a year to make any changes
Yeah.
to it or something. So I don't know if they'd consider, You know, if somebody's been doing it forever, once they get notified, once the regulations go into effect, give them like a year to come up with code.
Complying.
Yeah, that might be,
Yeah,
that would be my suggestion.
it is called amortization. And city did that with their apartments and other houses. If you're gonna rent it out, not for this, but for students. You had to have a standard window that was based on a fire code. We don't have a fire code in Riley County.
In the county. no.
Yeah, we don't. The best we could do is, for commercial and industrial uses, places of assembly over 50 people. And all that is proxy through the state fire code. That's it.
Even putting in the parking, they're not gonna be able to put in off-street parking the
Yeah,
day
I was
that
gonna
the
say, yeah,
regulations
that-
go into effect.
Um,
That's where it gets a lot of.
Something
them.
That
Yeah,
was the windows and
well, imagine
parking, I think. Are kind of the two things, smoke detectors and fire extinguishers, pretty easy to install.
Is there anything else, Bob?
yeah, I wanted to show you something.
Oh, okay.
He's hunting.
It's kind of slow. Okay, just give you an example. We did a replat not too long ago. This might look familiar. In University Park. I don't know what happened there. But,
I talked with Sherry about that.
yeah, okay, this used to be 3 lots right here.
Yeah.
This was one, and then this was one. This was the house. This is the parking for, I think this house and this house at least. And that's, these folks right here, they now can park up here. That's off-street parking. But prior to that, they didn't have any way to get down here. There's no garage in it. You can stand here and look down at the rooftop of this house. It's cabin, really. We're gonna have situations that pop up where they're not gonna have this luxury right here. Because the requirement is 1 off-street parking per bedroom.
I think there's one up towards the dam that there's no way you park
Yeah.
off street, and I think it's an Airbnb already.
Yeah, and so that creates a problem, and especially if, for example, they aren't the party house. Maybe they are just, quite frankly, very subtle, very subdued, very well run, very well managed. And they're quiet and the neighbors don't have any problems. They hardly know that they're there.
Right.
And they park on the street or whatever, and maybe there's 1 or 2 cars, not 18 or 20 or whatever, crowded and can't get anyone through, that kind of thing. So the thing that we need to consider here, what are the consequences if we go one way or another? We put people out of business, or do we make everyone make everyone comply, put some people out of business, but we're solid on the ones that aren't?
Well, and like you said, we've had one problem.
One.
Yeah.
So there's your guys.
Has anybody actually applied for a license?
This one was up around.
We have had people come in and talk about it and wanna apply. We've had calls and that was impressive. Well, because, it made the paper.
Okay, that's how they even knew that they needed to apply.
Well, I think, we gotta have something we gotta treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna do it, if we happen to put somebody out of business, unfortunately, you do, I guess. But, people just can't do what they want to if there's specifics, like doors and windows and stuff like that.
Okay.
They got the swimming pool there between the house and the vehicles.
It's an Airbnb, they got. Just kidding.
So that is an Airbnb now?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
It's actually very nice. They remodeled the interiors, very nice. They did a really good job. So with this, if we can move forward with the discussion, real quick, I just want to bring some dates to your attention. Again, we're planning on taking this to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board, see what they say. A week from today. And then hopefully Board of County Commission on the 24th. And if we get positive feedback on all these, and it's more of a consensus, then we can move forward with the amendments as drafted here. Public hearing, if it all goes well, we can get the application going. We're looking at April 4th, going to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board for recommendation. And then to this board, April 11th, again for recommendation. And then again, with the 2 weeks between the planning boards and the Board of County Commission, we got the Board of County Commission scheduled for April 28th. If they amend it at that time, they pass it, and it goes by resolution, it should be, the resolution gets published, and then the amendment decision is official. So hopefully at that time, we can, so we parked the planning board being too close to the railroad tracks. That's our plan here, and it could get bumped to May. I'm hoping to get this done and everyone agreeable to the changes and whatever we want to do there and move ahead with it, regardless of what they are. It's quite frankly, I'd like to get the LDR polished up a bit better than it is. And get some of the other things that I've noticed, there's some convention problems. And I'm a little disappointed in it, but these things happen, right? But I want to get that taken care of prior to our discussion with the comprehensive plan. I think we need to be able to focus on that rather than the regulations too. Trying to get all this worked out. So that's the plan.
For your all sanity more than anything.
Yeah.
So,
So that's what we have. So if I get you right, just to sum up and conclude, you're okay with the name change to name it what we are already calling it in the document. And let's see. And then the side yard setback as far as the 10%, and then not to exceed 10 feet. Okay, again, we're not messing with the large lot side yard setback that's set at 15. And quite frankly, it's an anomaly for people to want to get any closer to the lot line unless there's other problems creating other reasons why they want to get up against the lot line. I don't see it as a future problem. And then get rid of the, as per the recommendation of our planning consultant and lawyer, to go ahead and get rid of that setback increases 1 foot for every 1 foot of building height over 16 feet. And then, so far so good, right?
Yep.
Okay, then the short-term rentals, as you see there, we're gonna to insert the language as of the effective date of these regulations as amended. And that will be the exception to the transitional provisions that would grandfather them in, so everyone would be required to have a license. The other thing I want to do, and Rita brought up a good point, just take a look at the window size here and see if they would take a look at that, make sure if that's just a standard window and what they're expected to be able to get through one way or the other. So we'll look at that. Now, are we also good with the requirement that they have to be a certain size? They have to be actually able to get in and out of the window, not just have a window.
I think it needs to be
yeah.
a certain size.
Yeah. Okay.
When I made the windows in my house, because, after that house was about 80, it's not quite 24.
Oh, sorry,
Like
Joe.
36, you know, so.
Yeah,
You know,
hallways were a lot narrower as well than but the staircases were pretty steep. At that point. Okay, so just to summarize, that covers all the, oh yeah, and the other one was the, removing that note in the tables.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
from-
16
also
feet.
the two family as well. So all of the single family plus the two family.
Right,
Okay. So we're good then?
yes.
We're good.
So, sorry to hit you with all these at once.
You gotta be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, oddly enough, is just, we have people coming in and wanting to do something. That's how we discovered these, but oops. You know, that put a crimp on the plants real quick, and that wasn't the intention.
Well, it's a good way to get it nipped in the bud before it creates a big problem though.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
Okay, I'll go ahead and move forward then as far as getting the discussion with the
okay,
planning board and then with the Board of County Commission, let them know your thoughts and see what they do, see what they come up with, see how they decide on.
so and you said the public meeting will be in March then,
April
April 4th?
April 4th for the Manhattan Urban Area Planning. Board.
Okay.
April 11th for this board.
Okay,
April
and the
28th
public
will be
hearings
the
will be here
Yeah.
in the meeting, okay,
Yes.
okay. Anyone got any other questions for him?
Did you guys get your software approved today?
Yes, we did. Yep, got the contract approved for our new permit software. Yeah. Ready for that.
That's coming out of Bob's salary?
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
I volunteered, it's more of a donation.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, I heard that on the radio this morning. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I heard it was on the radio. so-
Yeah, well, I was listening to the K-Man this morning. They were talking about it.
I'm gonna turn on that.
Okay, is there anything else to come before the board?
So you say we do not have a
We
meeting
do not have a meeting next month.
Okay.
That's when Lisa's going to be working with the new software.
we had that on number.
Oh, I didn't even read that. That's how bad I am. Okay.
So anything else to come before the board tonight? I was gonna say, do I hear a motion?
I'll move and we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Let's go home.
You hold your phone line.
Or go out. No, I'm gonna go eat.
Is he waiting on you?
They're waiting on me.
Wait, wait, I got muffins.
Huh?
Can't go, you got muffins.
Sorry. It was probably, yep, it was my phone that was.
That's all right.
So I wasn't feeling very well. I thought maybe I don't have to see it. Decided maybe I need a little, I got a little blood sugar, so I maybe walk over there.
8:42. I'm good.
Grab a little muffin. Oh my God.
So
My hands
you
are-
work, you know, you sit over there and I'm impressed. You
Yeah, I was gonna say all these
talk about this
regulations
stuff. You're making me look bad. I don't.
I used to work for the city of Lewisburg.
Oh, the
And I
city
work-
was, okay.
I worked in their, I was assistant building and zoning director, and then I was also the public works director.
Oh, wow.
I know lots of arbitrary facts.
Yes, you do. Well, that's good.
She's our
You
quick Raven.
keep everybody on in line here then.
Folks, we have a couple milers out here for you to sign.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. I used to know all the spacing on the fire hydrants. Kind of forgotten about some of those, but. So what do you do now? I work for a nonprofit, the American Public Works Association. So we do training for the public works people for streets and water and wastewater and, you know, anything that's public works related.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So nobody calls me at 2 a.m. yet I still like get to hang out with all the people that got the snow plows and I actually won't be at the April meeting on solar, but because we're having a snow conference in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so I'll be.
There will be snow there.
So I'll be, it's not till April, hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but you
They usually try to have it after the snow season. So that's a snowplow operation goes. Huh. My kids were like, why do you have a snow conference in April? There's no snow. I'm like, exactly.
That's interesting.
They can't go in the middle, like from like November to
Thank you all.
April, just plowing snow.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we want to talk about.
Approval.
Okay, I have it with me, I need to look at it.
Well, it just looks like to me it's too far out. Yeah, and I'd rather soon, if we're gonna do it in present. Because a lot of things can change.
3 months.
So that's just my, because everything was what, 2 years,
At least.
at least 2 years out.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like,
Yeah, I read over it again this morning, it's like, this is 2 years out, some of it's 3, 4 years out. Yeah, the house is 3 at least. So I have a hard time granting their wishes upon that.
And I,
You know, I mean, if they, you know, if it was something or, you know.
okay, the one in.
A year and a half.
A year, you know. You know, because a lot of these ag exemptions we've seen actually in the past, you know, they're all wanting to act upon. I mean, ASAP, they've got a nice little business plan there, but it
Doesn't start for a while.
doesn't start for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if they can speed their stuff up or not, I don't know, it just depends. You know, so I guess visit with them and say, hey, you know, how does the rest of the crew on the Nathan probably, did you reply? I think he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
I don't think.
Perry, I don't know if he said anything or not.
Probably not.
Okay.
This is, that's not a new one.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it was, you know, and I guess, and I brought this up, I don't know if I ever told you, but I know I told Lonnie before. I'd rather not see these ag exemptions. You know, we got it last week and it says you wanted to buy it this week, you know. I'd rather see them things, you know, out a little bit, you know, a month, you know.
A month?
Well, you know, because Monty's called me before and said, hey, we need to sign on this today. And it's like, well, I haven't even read it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a hurry up situation. Some of it's been because people are buying land, you know, and they want to know if they can do it. Well, you know, because got the one deal up at Randolph, I still remember, was like, oh, well, he's buying it today, you know? And it's like, that's not fair to us.
No, it's not.
But anyhow, so no, that's how I feel about that. I think it's too far out. I just, you know, it's like I said, he's got a good business plan, but if it was like, you know, starting at the end of, even at the end of this year.
Yeah.
It would be, I'd feel better with it, so.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, and we can have a conversation with them. and see,
Yeah,
you know,
see,
We're not wanting to start it yet,
Right.
guys, just hang on.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm not opposed, you know, because we've done several of those, you know, because they're, you know, they've got livestock, they've got chickens, and they're gonna do this, and they're gonna do that. And we've done people that did those kind, you know, and they deserve to have an ag exemption, you know, because they want to be involved in agriculture.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, but it's not that I didn't want to give it to them, it's like, it's way too far out there.
Yeah, and I've actually, when I sat down with some people, what we want to do in like 10 years, like. Okay, so my advice was that, well, maybe it'd be a good idea if we just wait.
Excuse me.
Come back when.
Yeah, come back when you're, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
All right.
Follow up on that, so.
Okay, you got to sign my name to these? Who made the muffins? Oh, yes. Yes.
That's where we get the cookies from.
Well, honestly, Oldham's got pretty good food, really.
Yeah.
I like their crackers, I like popcorn, their salsa, their eggs. They got better, they've got better eggs than Dylan's. They're a lot bigger, they're a lot nicer.
People think of all these as a cheap store.
It's not.
I mean, especially.
We- Sister, she shops there all the time. And I think she gets her high D, you know, she gets 90% of her stuff. Always talking about since they have there. So Linda, she was on this end of town for a deal. On Friday, so she zips over there and gets some, our normal bread, eggs, you know. And she comes home with one of the pizzas, a $5 pizza, a big old pizza. It wasn't bad. I mean, it was good for $5.
They're cheaper, but not cheap quality. You know,
You know, and years ago, Kathy would buy the hamburgers already patted up. And it's from New Zealand. And I said, this ain't American beef, Kathy. I don't care. But they were good.
yeah.
They were good. But Linda's sister up in Lincoln, she says, well, we were up there a couple weekends ago, 3 weeks ago, and we had ribs, this and that. And I said, damn, these are good beers. She said, these are all these. And they were delicious.
Okay, so that restaurant.
Yeah.
They buy a lot of their meat at Aldi.
Really? I've seen him in there. Well, I've seen him at Dillon's before too, but yeah, really.
So,
Well, I know Dylan, yeah, like Kathleen said, sister-in-law said, I buy all the meat there. When she doesn't get on the farm, but she buys half. You know, a half of them, half of these, it's what's doing it to 2 kids.
oh, well, that'd be
You
nice.
know, it does that, but it's just what I don't get there.
We still.
Oh, you've never been to them?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We get Super
Well, I
Bowl